murder, slavery, copyright infringement. That's all stuff you need to do to beat Palworld. But all that is wrong, and I don't want to do any of that. So, can you beat the game as a pacifist? Without attacking anyone? I have no idea if that's possible at all, but that's what we are going to find out. And it all starts with me creating a character. After that, I was greeted by some cute little creatures, and received the mission to kill 5 tower bosses that are located in 5 different regions of the game. I appeared in some old ruins, and after taking a quick look at the map, I found the chicken from earlier, that is apparently called Shipiki. This is usually when you start beating the crap out of it, but I won't do that, because I'm a pacifist, and I won't attack anyone. So I started walking forwards, and picked up some wood sticks that I found on the ground, and actually leveled up. This game is similar to Ark, because when you level up you get an attribute point that you can use to upgrade your health or your attack damage, stuff like that. But you also get a technology point that you can use to unlock new craftings. For now though, I was more interested in interacting with this totem and unlocking the fast travel point, and in talking to this fellow. By this conversation I got 2 things. One is that I'm not alone on this island, and 2 is that poles are strong and dangerous. I used wood that I gathered to make a primitive workbench, and I could use it to make a wooden club, which I didn't because I won't need it. If I got some stone I could also make a pickaxe, an axe and even a torch, so that's definitely something that I will be aiming for. I made the classical punch the tree move to get more wood, and found out that we have access to a pole deck that show us the different poles that we met and their characteristics, which I still can't see because I haven't catch any of them. To capture poles you need to beat the crap out of them, and when they are low health you can throw a sphere at them and catch them. But I'm a pacifist. I won't attack anyone, so I guess I'm in a little trouble. I use my technology points to unlock a bunch of new stuff. The usuals, chests and campfires, and also a pole box and a pole sphere. The pole box is the center of your base, and is also what you will use to store your poles. And the pole spheres are obviously used to catch poles. I climbed to the top of the mountain and appreciated the gorgeous view of this world that we will be exploring. I also found a leaf monk effigy, which we can offer to a statue to improve our ability to capture poles. I said Hello Kitty, punch a strange stone that is apparently called Paldion, which is the stuff that we will use to craft the spheres. And in no time it was already night, and I was freezing to death. I panicked for a bit without knowing what to do, until I remembered that I had unlocked the campfire. I quickly built it and saved myself from dying from cold. I couldn't get away from it though, but I also didn't want to just do nothing. I already do plenty of that in real life. So I set myself on fire, and used the meantime to punch a rock. The night eventually passed, and I found a good place to make the base, so I did just that. I also took the opportunity to craft the axe and the pickaxe, and even some pole spheres. I then found a chicken in my house, and couldn't help but throw my balls at it, since they don't deal any damage, and are throwable with the Q bind instead of the left attack button. I don't consider them an attack, and therefore they don't violate our pacifist rules. The Shipiki didn't find it fun though, and started mercilessly attacking me. Without any other option, I just evaded the attacks, and kept throwing my balls at it, until I ran out of balls and ran away. Shipiki is the weakest pole in Palworld, and even after throwing all my 5 balls I couldn't catch it. So I guess this is going to be harder than expected. I wouldn't give up that easily though, so I gathered more materials, crafted more balls, and tried again. And this time I was actually successful, and managed to catch my first pole. Let's go! I was pretty happy with my achievement, and summoned the invited pole. He kept running away from it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. He was there by his own free will. He could just left the ball, but he chose to stay, which means that he wants to be with me. He's such a cool guy. Why does he keep running from me, you might ask? Well, that's obvious. he is clearly a tsundere. That's why I built a feed box and baked some berries to feed me and my new pet. And a lot of tree cutting and breakdowns later, I finally managed to build my first proper house. It's worth noting that I also made a bed for him and even petted him, and he is clearly very happy. I can always have 5 poles with me that I can summon one at a time to pacify other poles alongside me. I won't be using Shipiki for that though, so I just assigned him to the base and built a ranch for him to produce some delicious eggs. I also made a berry production plot which I planted and seeded in order to harvest some fresh berries. And now food isn't a problem anymore. I constructed the Statue of Power and offered Leaf Monk effigy from earlier to upgrade our capture power. With more balls in sec, I captured a Lambo and assigned him to the base, where he helped me moving things around and even constructing stuff. He also can produce wool when assigned to the ranch. Thanks to him, I managed to make a bed to sleep at night, and even some basic clothes. I also learned that I could use him as a shield, which I won't be doing. I then crafted a parachute to be able to glide through the air, and got our base attacked by some thugs. I didn't even know this was a mechanic. I was defenseless, and couldn't do anything against them. Fortunately though, I had assigned some poles to the base, and they defended it against the bandits. They actually did it quite easily, so I was pretty happy with that. The only problem is that raids are going to become harder and harder as the time goes on, but it is what it is. I kept upgrading my level, and with the basics done, it was finally time to start exploring. One of the goals on this trip was to capture more poles, because when we capture 5 of the same pole, we get a huge XP bonus, and that was actually one of the goals of our tutorial quest. I found some new ones, like a deer and fox sparks? Yeah, sure. Nothing familiar here. I also found Memorest, the king of the forest, which was a level 48 boss. And me being at level 6 or something, I didn't even dare to try to catch him. I just walked along and nothing more. Down the hill I found a new teleportation point and another human, which didn't say anything particularly interesting. I then returned to the base and put our new friends to work. Voluntary work, I must add. I took the opportunity to make a logging and a mining site, to have them help me get wood and stone. I then went out to get some more poles, and this was when I realized something that would save this run. If I tried to catch a wild pole and failed, it would start attacking me, and when that happened, my own pole that I summoned would fight against it, to try and protect me. And I could use this to get the wild one to low health, and make it easier for us to capture it. And that is going to be the exact plan we will be using from now on. With this strategy we managed to capture our first fox parks, and also some other guys. I also tried to capture a level 11 Nightwing, and almost ended up dead. Thanks to that though, we found a shiny Lambo and managed to capture it. Shiny poles are bigger, stronger, and even work faster in the base, so that was a good find. As I leveled up, I unlocked the primitive furnace, which allowed us to make ingots. For that we needed ores that we could find in the wild. And we will need a heck ton of them, because almost everything in this game requires ingots. Time went on and I got a dire howl, and after making a saddle for it, I finally had my very first mount, which made traveling fairly easier, because this dire howl guy is way faster than me. I then made a hot spring for the poles of my base to relax and recover their sanity. I should have 3 of those at home. And made Daydream's necklace. This allows Daydreams to fight alongside me, even if he is not summoned, which is actually pretty overpowered, because this way I can have 2 poles fight at the same time. In one of my explorations I found a cave, which turned out to be an actual dungeon. Inside there were some ores to mine, some poles and some thugs, so I had them fight my newly acquired dinosaur. And it turned out that this guy was actually quite strong, and managed to defeat them quite easily. And now, my brothers and sisters, I have something to confess, for I have sinned. You see, this was my first time playing the game, and as such, there were a lot of things that I didn't know. When you take a pole sphere and aim to a pole, the capture chance of that pole appears on screen. Thing is that when you do that to a human, nothing appears, so I actually thought it was impossible to capture them. Nonetheless, I found it would be funny to go and try, and I actually succeeded it. Yes, Your Honor, my client pledges oopsie doopsie. That's right, I captured a human and failed the run, without even killing the first boss. Since it would be pretty bad to end it here though, I decided to just continue the run. So I just carried on with weights of my sins, and at the end, there it was, the boss room. In it reside the suddenly transformed giant Gumos, licking a tree. Alright, it was actually quite funny. This guy had a good amount of HP, but after some talk, he agreed to work for me. As a reward for quote-unquote defeating the boss, we got 2 chests. After opening them, I got 3 things. The first one being rubies, which can be sold to merchants to get coins and buy stuff from them. The second one being a high-grade technical manual, which I can use to get some free technology points. And the third one being a crossbow schematic, which is a blueprint to craft a crossbow that is better than the regular one. I don't even need to say that I won't use it. With our newly recruited poles, our base was expanding by the day. We made the new sphere workbench, which allowed us to make new, better spheres, to catch new, better poles. And better yet, a refrigerator, which we can use for food not to go bad so fast. Oh, we also made a crusher, which we can use to transform stone into Palworld fragments, which is technically more important, but who cares about that, right? A little more exploration later, and I finally found it. The first boss tower. I obviously couldn't hold myself back, and challenged it right away. I used the pillars of the arena to evade the enemy attacks, and literally just standed there, menacingly. As I watched my poles fight against Zoe and Griswold, I would switch poles whenever the active one took damage, and they would just recover their health while on my pocket. It took 5 whole minutes, but I managed to defeat him. This one was quite easy, but it was supposed to be some sort of tutorial boss, so it was to be expected. This one is a walk in the park, compared to the other ones. Oh, and by the way, no, you can't capture the boss. I tried. We got some XP and some technology points as a reward, and unlocked a teleport in the top of the tower. I then proceeded to jump from there, glide through the air, run out of stamina and die. Yeah, this was our first death. Kinda anticlimactic, I know. When you die, you lose all your items, so I went back there to recover them. Back at home, a bunch of strong guys attacked my base, and even though my poles managed to fend them off, I knew that this was going to become a trend, so I decided to build a defensive wall. It was made of wood though, because I still haven't unlocked anything better. But it's better than nothing, right? I also built an egg incubator and incubated our first egg. At this moment I had a good amount of them, because I kept finding them in my journeys. Better eggs can have better poles inside them, so it's always useful to incubate the eggs. A little bit after that another raid happened, and my walls proved rather useful. Because, yes, the dumb guys kept attacking the walls, instead of just going around them and entering the base. They are like me, they are not paid to think, alright? After that I unlocked and built a breeding farm, which allows me to take 2 of my poles and make them breed to have a baby. Which I cannot do because they, for some godforsaken reason, need a cake to make the magic happen. And I have no cake. I am cakeless. As time went on, I kept exploring the map bit by bit, and I eventually found a bandit camp that were taking a poor little Paul hostage. So I saved the little guy, and now he will work for me for free forever. Shield Hero is surely proud of me. And you know what's even better? I managed to find another boss, Chile, the dancer on the plains. And this one was only level 11. We were already at level 22 at this point, so I managed to catch him quite easily, and he is now our new team member. Welcome aboard, fellow. This place nearby also has a ton of ore minerals, and at this point I had unlocked the opportunity to build a second base, and my friend gave me his excellent idea of building my second base only dedicated to gather ore, because I will just need so much of it. I took his advice and did just that. I obviously kept exploring the map, caught new poles, and found a strange tree with some devil fruits in it. It seems like I can use these skill fruits on my poles to give them the respective skill, which is pretty dope. And do you remember that pole from earlier that almost killed us? Yes, the Nightwing. Well, I managed to catch one of those, and now we have our first flying mount. And I'm not even kidding. This was such a game changer. There are a lot of places that you just can't get without a flying mount, and now I can get to those. Furthermore, it is just overall easier to travel around the world, which is pretty huge. So I really need an easy way to travel through it. And coming up next we have yet another raid. But this one was no ordinary raid, because this one had fire poles attacking our base. And our walls were made out of wood, if you remember. They basically placed everything on fire. It was pretty cool to see the mechanic, not gonna lie. Not so cool to have my walls on fire, but at least I had some water poles on my base, and they helped me cope with the situation. I also unlocked something called monitoring stand, and I wanted to try it out. I thought it would just be a random structure, just to be cool, but it actually had a functionality. With that I could, quote-unquote, demand brutal work from poles. Which I actually decided not to do, because I'm still a pacifist, if you remember. And apart from not attacking anyone, I also don't want to be mean to anyone. And now, please allow me to introduce you to a new mechanic, the Enhanced Poles mechanic. As you travel through the world, you can find different pulse souls, or you can kill bosses to get them, and you can use these souls to enhance your pulse. You can enhance the max health, attack, defense, work speed, and that's basically it. Oh, by the way, you can also pay money to reset the souls that you spent. So I use these souls to improve our pulse attack damage, because we can't attack, so we need someone that can. And I must tell you something. I was feeling pretty bad. I was feeling guilty because of the sin that we committed against that human back then. So I decided to build a shrine, in a way to atone for my sins. This way, every day when I wake up, I can see the atrocity that I committed and motivate myself to be a better person this time around. Anyways, I built a pulse condenser, which allows me to offer pulse to the gods in order to fortify my current pulse. This will be pretty useful against bosses later on. I then kept exploring the map, killed some more bosses, and found a small settlement of humans. There were some merchants in there, with whom I could sell stuff and buy stuff. One of the stuff that I could buy, by the way, were wheat seeds. So now I can plant wheat, harvest wheat, and make cakes so I can breed my poles. Oh, I also got a blueprint for a cool little hat. Tell me, doesn't this look cute as heck? I know it does. With my confidence high, I decided to test waters against Memrest, and needless to say, it was quite easy. For him, I mean, because I couldn't even get close to killing him. He is still way too strong for me. So I just ran away and decided to come back later, because now it's not a good time. In one of my expeditions, I found a dodgy merchant that worked on black markets. And even though his products were quite interesting, I decided not to trade with him. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something told me that that guy ain't a good deal. After that, I took a swim underground to refresh my thoughts, and made a sphere assembly line. With this, I can make even better spheres to catch even better poles with even better chances. Furthermore, I can have up to 3 poles on my base help me making spheres now. And seeing how all my poles were doing their very best for the community, I decided to invest some of my resources and make better beds for everyone. This way they can sleep better and recover better their sanity. And talking about insanity, while I was talking to a friend of mine, he told me about a certain bug. and you know I had to try it out. When you throw a sphere to catch a Pal, you just need to go on top of the sphere, and when the sphere closes with Pal inside, boom! You are launched miles up in the air. And I'm not even kidding, this is hella cool. And I really hope the devs don't fix it, and instead just make it a feature. Because after all, that's what devs love to do, right? After having that little bit of fun, I made a high quality hot spring. And finally had my Pals breed for the very first time. Since I finally had cake. I forgot to mention back then, but to make cake I also needed milk, which I didn't have. But now that I caught a cow, I do, and I can finally make it. In one of my subsequent explorations, I met Shermontide, the Emperor of the Sea, a level 45 water dragon, which looks hella cool and hella strong. Needless to say, I won't try to catch it right now. I'm like level 31 or something, so no way in hell I can catch him. But I will remember him. I kept exploring a little bit more and arrived to a very hot area, and started taking damage, so I can't really explore further on this direction. Not until I made a hot resistant armor at least. But anyways, I upgraded my base walls to stone walls, and managed to breed a really fast Fanglob with the swift passive skill. And I'ma tell you, this was the game changer of the game changers of game exploration. This guy is an absolute beast, a monster if you will. Apart from being stupidly fast, he also has double jump, and made exploration so much easier. And good things don't end up here either, because I also managed to catch Verdash, a really strong grass Pal. But it isn't always about what's strong and what's not. Sometimes it's about what's cute, and Memorest is certainly one of the cutest Pals I have ever seen. Just look at him, how cute. Oh, and by the way, this is not boss Memorest that is on the hill. This is just a regular one that I managed to catch because he was fighting an older Memorest and was at low health. And talking about him, I discovered that I could do this really cool sliding thing. Which I don't know how I just discovered now, but alright. It is like the second best mechanic of the game, and I decided it was about time to try my luck against the boss Memorest. I had the really strong Fire Pal Blaze Howl with me, which I managed to incubate from an egg that I found. And fire attacks deal double damage to grass Pals, so it helped a lot. It wasn't easy or quick by any stretch of the imagination, but I managed to get him into my team. At this point I had already started using a new ingot, the so-called refined ingot, which can be used to make better armor and stuff. And I also had unlocked the opportunity to make a third base, so I decided to do just that, in the desert. Why in the desert, you might ask? That's simple, my friend. Because in the desert there is coal, and I need coal to make refined ingots. So I decided to make my third base near a coal vein. From this point forward it was more of the same: farm iron, upgrade your base. Farm iron, explore the world. Farm iron, catch a ton of balls to get XP, kill bosses to also get XP and to get souls. Farm iron, and rinse and repeat. Don't get me wrong though, it was plenty of fun, and I managed to catch Shermontide and the newbies. Shermontide, the really strong water dragon from before, almost killed me a good amount of times, and to make matters worse, he was a liar. It said that if I mounted him while on water, it wouldn't waste stamina, which is complete bullshit. It does indeed waste stamina. And Anubis is a really strong Earth Pal, which ended up replacing Verdash. I will miss you, my friend, you were a good buddy. I also made new, shiny, heat-resistant and cold-resistant armor. And after all this, I was finally feeling confident to tackle the second boss, Lily and Leland. Not gonna lie, I was a little bit too overpowered for this fight, and it was actually quite easy, which wasn't supposed, alright. Since our level was way higher than it should be, I managed to beat it in under 5 minutes, without attacking even once, which is great. 2 bosses beaten, 3 more to go. Since things were going well, I decided that I wanted to fight the third one right away. So I went to the volcano, which is a place where the third tower is located. Needless to say, it was a little hot in there, and I got my ass humbled real quick by a guy called Blazamut. And this was when I noticed that level does indeed matter in this game. That guy was level 49. I was level 42. I had my counter with me, the water Pal Shermontide, which is supposed to counter fire Pals. But still, it was not even close. I wasn't going to let that change my goals though, so I arrived to the third tower and started the fight against the third boss, Axel and Orsec. The boss Paul this time around was an electric and dragon one, so my Anubis, an earth Paul, is the perfect match for here, because he deals double damage to electricity. Even then though, he had a ton of health. And I mean a ton, 140,000 health. That's a whole lot. I did my usual strategy of standing there and doing nothing, and just concentrating myself in evading the enemy's attacks. Oh yeah, sure, I would switch Pauls here and there when they had used their abilities, because the abilities have cooldown after all. Anyways, I did my very best, and just when I was about to kill him, the time ran out. Yeah, the 10 minutes time limit ran out, and I lost fight, and died. Whoa. Do you know what's even more interesting? I changed my team a little bit, went there to face him again, and ran out of time again. Fortunately though, I remembered my lesson from last time, so I went and upgraded my level, and on my third try, I managed to beat him. Let's go! 3 out of 5 down. I then went to the desert, found the 4th tower, and started the fight against the 4th boss, Marcus and Phalaris. And this guy had a pretty dope cutscene, so I gotta give him that. With a stunning 150,000 health to be taken down in 10 minutes, I knew that it wouldn't be easy, and it indeed wasn't. I tried time and time again, constantly changing my team to somehow try and make things better. But I just couldn't deal that much damage in that short amount of time. I even managed to catch Blazamut in process, but it also didn't help at all. I resorted to the only thing I knew would work, and upgraded my level. Apart from that, I also made something interesting. I made a whole ass team solely dedicated to kill this boss. It consisted of 2 really strong water poles to counter the fire element, and a cutie little guy that gives bonus damage to water attacks. Apart from that, I also gave them food that gives a 10% attack buff. And after a whole lot of tries, I managed to beat him with a whopping 20 seconds to spare. Oh my gosh, this was such a pain. I was pretty happy at the moment, and pretty relieved as well. But my happiness was short-lived. After a little bit of exploring the map, upgrading the base and upgrading the equipment, it was about time to start the preparations to fight the final boss of the game. I knew that last tower boss was a shadow one, and I also knew that dragon attacks deal double damage to shadow poles. If I wanted to beat last boss of the game, I needed to have a powerful dragon. There was no other way in hell that I could do this. With this in mind, I searched, what is the strongest dragon in the game? Jet Dragon. Hello. If you think that a max level, legendary celestial dragon would be powerful, you would be hella right. He was way tougher than I was expecting. This is not even a tower boss. How is he so strong? I was max level, all my poles were max level, and he beat crap out of me. Very easily at that. I died a whole lot of times, and after a whole lot of tries I came to the conclusion that I couldn't do it. Not while being my weak self at least. So I went on a journey to make an elixir that resets all my attribute points, the memory wiping medicine, and getting the ingredients for that was a pain in itself, especially the beautiful flowers.
This is disgusting.
As I played the game and leveled up, I spent a ton of points in upgrading my weight capacity, because it is really useful and even essential to do that in this game. But to fight a boss, it isn't needed at all. So I spent all those points in health, and I went from 2000 health up to 5000, more than double. This way I could finally stop dying to the stupid dragon and let my poles fight against it, because they weren't the ones dying, it was me. As you can see, this time I was a different person, so I went back there and challenged the legendary celestial dragon once again. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort. I almost died a few times, but I persisted and kept trying, kept grinding, until his health was finally low. Now, this was the chance. I also had legendary spheres with me. Those are stupidly hard to make, but also stupidly powerful. They are the best spheres in the game. To make matters even better, he was bugged, stuck in a tree, so I could just freely throw my balls at it. The chance of capture was low, but that was not a problem at all. I had a ton of balls with me, so I kept throwing them. In the end of it all, the dragon unbugged from the tree and died to fall damage.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Like, what do you mean? The legendary celestial dragon, Jet Dragon, died to fall damage? Bro, what? Say what? I was so mad, oh my gosh. Actually, I wasn't even mad. I wasn't mad at all. I was disappointed. That's the only word that can describe my feelings at the time. Anyways, I waited a whole ass another hour for him to respawn and managed to catch him. Yeah, thank you. So cool. I'm kidding, I was pretty happy actually. I made a saddle for him, and befitting of the name Jet Dragon, he was hella quick. It was a pleasure to drive him around, but that was not the reason why I caught him. So I decided to put him to the test and confront the final tower boss of the game, Victor and Shadowbeak. And this guy flies somehow? Can someone explain me what is going on in here? Anyways, surprise surprise, he was pretty strong. He had 200,000 health, and taking into consideration that I couldn't attack him, the 10 minutes time limit was quite something. I gave it a few tries, but without succeeding unfortunately. So I had the brilliant idea to go and catch another Jet Dragon. Logic here is simple. One Jet Dragon can't keep using his abilities forever because they have cooldown. But if I have two Jet Dragons, then I can switch between them. And hopefully they would always have the skills up to use. And I say hopeful because even then it didn't work. So I gave up. Nah, I'm kidding. I didn't give up, however, I messed with the rules a little bit. You see, I can't attack because I'm a pacifist, but my dragons are not. And in Palworld, there is an interesting mechanic. Your pals, while on field, have cooldown on their abilities, and if you mount on top of them, you can use their abilities yourself. The interesting thing is, your cooldown when mounting on the pals, and the pals' own cooldown on the skills that they have is different. I would mount on a Jet Dragon, use their abilities, and when I dismounted off them, they would be able to use their abilities again right away. This way I was able to constantly throw abilities at the boss. And finally, for the first time, his life started going down. And the battle continued. I don't know how many tries, how many battles I have fought at this point, but I can assure you that it was a lot. His life kept going down and down, until I only had 30 seconds left. I was desperate. All my abilities were on cooldown. I already did everything that I could. At that point, there was nothing more that I could do. So I resorted to something that I shouldn't. You see, when I made the Jet Dragon saddle, it came in a bundle. It wasn't just a saddle. It was a saddle with a rocket launcher on top of it. I haven't used it up until now, but I was desperate, and I ended up succumbing to the temptation. That's right, I won, but at what cost? With a river of feelings flowing through my head, I couldn't bear the guilt of my actions, and committed unalive. And this was my pacifist run of Palworld. Now, can you beat the game as a pacifist? Absolutely. Did I do it? I'm not sure. Do you think that counts as me attacking or not? If you like this one and want to see more of little old me, click this video right here. It is a really interesting one, talking about my entire playthrough of Cult of the Lamb. A sick game where you create a cult, become a demon god, and do all sorts of crazy stuff. The game is pretty fun, the video is pretty good, so I'm sure you will love it.